blessing on it. Too real, this ain't metaphoric. We just put the I in iconic, buzzing like I'm electronic. Yeah, I put a blessing on it. See me dripping in it 24/7 on it. I'm just being honest. Holy water dripping from my neck to my crep, so I'm two-stepping on it like.
I'm supposed to wait for like the first 10 minutes before I cuss. I
Is that a rule?
It is, and I don't know that I've passed one time now. But anyways, we're gonna get rolling.
Right.
Hey everybody, I'm Tiffany Foy. Welcome to the Ramblin' Gypsy podcast. We're gonna stick with this whole fortunate to be fortunate thing because it apparently stuck. And I've had a lot of guys that have when I had built my porch when I started the podcast, and now we've moved it to my she shed, which has been a whole full-on thing because I swore I would never let any set of balls come in my she shed. And well, I feel like maybe we should have like a list of balls that have been in here now, maybe a wall of balls. We should look at me just coming up with shit. Oh my god, thank god I'm laughing today because today has been shit, absolute shit. Now there we go, I didn't even make it to the first 10 minutes of cussing. Anyways, y'all, this is Dallas Burrow. Welcome to my she shed.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I was so flattered that you'd ask.
Yes, yeah. We've been playing scheduled games, and I mean, and then I couldn't get my shit together today, so
it's all
clearly,
good.
at least I'm consistent.
No, I tell you what, this is such a beautiful day to be out on River Road.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. The wind has kind of calmed down a little bit. It's been insane.
But just such a nice drive, like this time of year.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell everybody, I know Dallas musician, Dallas Burrow from...
Born and raised here in New Braunfels.
Yes.
Yeah. And
we're both locals.
Yeah, my family goes way back. My mom's side has been around forever, but yeah, I grew up here, and actually my first job was at the Float House, Lone Star Float House.
Okay, all right. Iconic place, you guys. If y'all are not, if y'all are visiting, you guys know I have Gypsy River Resort on the Quad, and we talk about all of our local businesses up and down because we're all one big happy family. But Lone Star Float House is the shit.
Oh yeah.
Terry's the rock star. The burgers are the best.
Oh yeah, man. It was
live music, Sunday fun days.
It was an experience.
How old were you when you started there?
12.
Solid.
Throwing tubes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and my dad was like, cooking burgers at that point, and then I slowly worked into the kitchen. So I kind of, I had a couple of summers where I was helping out, prep cooking, and so I know the recipe, all that stuff for the cheeseburger and
the magic sauce.
Yeah, I mean,
nice.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, it's an institution.
Yes.
I remember seeing like Ryan Bingham playing for tips down there.
Hello.
When I was, that age, he was still living like,
in a tent.
Basically.
Come on. Yeah. Look, if y'all know, we know Ryan. Ryan's friends of all of us here that are locals, and to see where he has gone from literally living in a tent.
Totally.
And everybody knows or not everybody, if you don't know, and this is why I love having you guys on the podcast, and especially you being a local, is when we had Lost and Found, which is not Lost and Found anymore.
Yeah.
It's been recently sold, and which is literally one line, I mean, it backs up right here to my place.
Yeah.
And so when Ryan lived there.
Right. Big Steve.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Totally. And then I worked at Rock and R for a couple of summers after that. And that's, where I first met Shiloh, of course.
Yep. OG.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, way back.
So I didn't realize that your family has been here forever.
Yeah, in fact.
So what is your mom's maiden name? I mean.
So she was a layman. She is, that's her maiden name.
We were just talking about layman yesterday.
And then her.
So my maiden is Secting.
Okay. Oh yeah.
So we're the Sectings and the Skolots, which we have.
Yeah.
Right.
So and then
we have the Wildlife Ranch. We have.
Cool.
Our whole family, yeah, we're all related.
Krause's also.
Of course.
Jonas's
family.
Oh
my gosh.
Yeah.
Stephanie and Elroy, the whole crew, Jonas's.
It's all kind of distant, but yeah, it's all back in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But so if I'm not mistaken, I haven't been able to find an older one anyway. The oldest grave in the graveyard over by the cemetery is Johann Krause. He was born in Germany in 1797 and buried in 1845. And that's one of my direct ancestors.
Wow.
So yeah, early early on.
So I am absolutely, I will pee my pants for a scary commercial, even a creepy commercial. But you stick me in a cemetery,
Oh man.
or if we even pass, and Nick and I are on the road running around all the time. But if I see one with, I mean, the 5 and 6 graves, the old amazing fence,
I love that stuff.
I'm all in it. I want to know the stories.
Same.
I want to know the history. I just want to know.
Actually, I took a friend of mine. I have a friend of mine who's he's like he has a kickboxing gym out in California, and he was a professional fighter at one time. But so his last name is Krause, and he's a big music fan. Bryce Krause is his name. Shout out to Bryce. And he's showed up in Holland to see me play, and just always shows up, you know. And anyway, so he was in town this last weekend. I played at Lukenbach. Me and my buddy Rob Linus played at Lukenbach, and that was kind of like my first time on the big stage there. But so anyway, he was in town, so I drove him to the graveyard at like 11 p.m. to take him out to show him the old grave.
Yes.
And the whole, because his last name was Krause too, so it's I dig that stuff myself.
Oh, wow.
I was also traveling sometime in the last year out to New Mexico, and was just like, you know, same kind of a deal you're talking about, but I saw a sign for like Billy the Kid's grave. Gotta go see Billy the Kid's grave at midnight.
Seriously.
You know?
I mean.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I dig it. Mm-hmm. For sure.
There was okay, so you know, we have 2 Highway 46s here. You got Highway 46 that takes you to 281 going Barney side, and then you got the other one that takes you to Seguin going to I-10.
Sure.
Blah, blah, blah. So where River Tree subdivision, which is on the right-hand side, there's so much development that's going on over there. But I lived in it was like a duplex condo type deal.
Mm-hmm.
And there was only a couple of houses in that subdivision at the time, bumps up to the lake.
Right.
And in the very back of that property, like the bank had stopped, wouldn't let anybody build or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so went running around, and and I found a little grave area back there, and the fence is that picket, like wrought iron fence type deal, like kind of that deal I have back there.
Mm-hmm.
But there was maybe 15 graves in there, from little tiny ones to just big one. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. And then Nick and I made a run. Oh shit, time just flies. A month or so ago, I had to deliver a horse, pick up some furniture. Oh, that's when we picked up Axel. We had to go and then we went to East Texas. So we just kind of boom, boom, boom. And I mean, we were trucking and jiving, and my gosh, if we wouldn't have been on such a time crunch, we passed some good ones. I mean, you go down there in those back roads in East Texas, and
that's where my dad's side of the family's all, you know, east of Dallas, and then I traced it back all the way to like Smith County, which is like, you know, kind of out north of Houston somewhere, I guess.
So did you do like one of those 23andMe deals or whatever the hell it is?
I have.
What's the other one called?
Ancestry.com.
There it is, that one.
But I'm not sure that I fully believe in the results necessarily.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical. Well, for one, I mean, you know, namely because I've always just assumed that I had some native in me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
it said no? And you
there was just,
First of all, I know how to whoa. I don't know if y'all see my rain dance, but it's legit.
I believe it.
Yep.
But anyway. But I just did some research on my own just to kind of try to learn more about my family history and stuff.
Was it hard?
No, I mean,
Was it recent that you did that?
In the last several years, but no, I was just able to kind of like trace the graves actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Nick.
Like 4 or 5 generations back, you know, all the way to like, I think probably the first generation of my dad's family that was living in Texas, like 4 or 5 generations back.
Wow.
We were creeping on that murder case the other day and found where he was buried. Remember that?
Oh, that's right. Yes.
The murderer?
Yeah. So my youngest son got called for jury duty, and came back, and he was like, "Yeah, it's like this big unsolved murder case." And we're like, "Wait, what?" Like from 40 years ago, 50 years ago or something, and of course DNA and everything has changed and what have you, and
Sure.
I was all pumped and excited, and I was like, okay, here's what you need to do. I know a lot of attorneys in town, so when they're picking juries, shut up, be quiet, don't be talking a bunch of things, they're gonna pick you. And of course, like, we need to know. Like, you gotta get in there. We need to know all the details. It's like, Mom, I can't tell. It's like, you're gonna tell. I don't care what happens behind our closed doors. I need to know. And yeah, sure enough, we found it, and it was an old. It was two guys that had murdered a gentleman because the guy was gay. And they found him in 2 different states, and yeah.
Wow.
And the case was here in town.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was so sad he didn't get picked. So, it's like, get back in there, son. Come on. Take one for the team.
I bet
Come
he was probably glad.
Yeah, he was, but so boring. So boring.
I've never been called for jury duty before myself.
You know what's crazy is I hadn't in all these years, and all of a sudden I got called, and then boom, it was not that long after that, got called, and the case got canceled. And then this kid, he just got another one. And I was like, well, maybe this one will be something that you get picked for or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I just thought it was kind of wild that, and of course Nick and I.
So y'all found the grave?
We found the dude because he comes back literally. He's 21. He comes from the courthouse to my house. It's not that far. What are we talking? A couple 3-5 miles, maybe 7 on a bad day. Maybe a couple traffic lights, 1 or 2. He gets to the house and we're like, what was the guy's name? Oh, I forgot. No. How do you forget? We need to know. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Funny, man.
Yeah. So let's talk about your music and how did.
Sure.
Where did that come from?
Oh, I don't know. I've just always been interested in it. My dad is a songwriter, and so I was exposed to music just by the nature of him being just playing around the house and stuff like that. So that
Did he write for people or just it was like kind of one of those?
It was he was never like a professional musician.
Just right.
Yeah, he was just did it for his own enjoyment, I think. But that was still enough to kind of plant the seed in my mind about just that was something that you did.
Is it just you? Is there siblings?
I have an older brother and sister. They're for my mom's first marriage. They were a good bit older than me, so, and we're still tight and everything. But they were kind of out of the house before, or I think they were 12 and 16 when I was born.
Right.
So by the time I was old enough to remember much, they were kind of off doing stuff. So
right.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was just one of those things, and then my grandmother taught me some piano, and then my dad taught me a few chords, and then I just kind of started putting songs together by the time I was about, probably 11 or 12, and then,
Was there, so he had a guitar, it wasn't like he just came up?
Oh, yeah. No, there was always a guitar in the house.
There was always a guitar in the house.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. And then, it's just, I started writing poetry pretty young, too, and so it was just kind of like a natural, I think, progression.
I love what, being from New Braunfels and being around you guys in the music scene my entire life, and so many of you guys are family, and some that have left here and have become huge that we've known back when we had Hastings and things
totally.
like that. I mean, I can tell some stories from way back when.
For sure.
And it's really cool that because there's so many little bits and pieces like that going back to your family history and what got you to where you are now as far as the music side. But what I've really enjoyed having one-on-one conversations with you guys is the amount of songwriting that people don't really realize that you guys are actually like from the beginning to the end, from the songwriting to playing it to doing your producing for the most part, but actually the poetry, how much that comes into play.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, there's a lot of wonderful songwriters around, and I mean, and I think this area of Texas especially is like, probably one of the highest concentrations of that anywhere in the world that you'll see, even like next to Nashville or New York or LA or any place. I mean, it's different here than it is anywhere else from my experience, just because it's so like kind of grassroots and I mean, I don't know, but yeah, there's a lot of people writing songs for sure.
My nephew Austin, both Tyler and Austin both, and there is not a music nothing in our family whatsoever. I mean, we can't even play a spoon if we tried.
But great lovers of music, obviously, right?
Well, and Tyler just came out just loving music. And it's not to say that we don't love music. We're absolutely obsessed with it. But there's no musical talent as far as us. There was no guitars laying around the house, is what I'm trying to say. So Tyler came out, and at the age of 4, and I've told the story a couple of times, but Tyler came out at the age of 4, and he was going to play guitar. We have no idea where it came from. We went and got him the little $5 deal from Walmart, and then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, we were building pretend stages in the backyard. We made little VIP passes for the neighborhood, and it was so much fun. And they were playing air guitars and air drums and all the things, and it was so much fun. But they have come obviously a long way. They're now grown and have their own children, and the youngest of my nephews is Austin, and they're both extremely shy, Tyler and Austin, which is very common with a lot of you guys. The personality comes out when y'all hit the stage, which so many people don't know. They think that in the outside world or in your normal day-to-day life that y'all are this bubbling, loud-spoken, and some are absolutely not.
Sure, yeah. I think it runs the gambit, but probably, you're probably right in that there are a good, a significant portion of artists who are probably kind of shy off stage. Yeah.
Well, Tyler and Austin are one of them.
Yeah.
Very much so. And I had introduced him to Scotty, which is who I call Summer Shandy, which is a very good friend of mine. And Scotty, we were just at your place when Scotty and Caleb were there.
Scotty Galaxy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my boy.
Yes, exactly. And
he's
so,
awesome.
So we were all there, and I brought Tyler in. It was back when we started the singer-songwriter series at River Road Ice House on Tuesday evenings.
Oh, yeah.
Tyler was young, and
what's Tyler's last name?
Tyler Hadlock.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Austin, we got Tyler a gig, where he finally boosted his confidence and done, I don't know that he's still, if the confidence is boosted there, but my God, his vocals are phenomenal and his guitar playing is unreal.
Those guys are great, man.
First gig we had at Tavern, Austin played with him, and Austin, if you can get 3 words out of Austin, you're doing very, very well. But Tyler would play with his guitar flat on his lap and would never pick his head up, never look at the crowd, never nothing. Literally head down, guitar flat, and just, I'll have to pull up some videos, and they're going to be on that red laptop. The one that, is from 30 years ago. Yeah.
It's the heaviest laptop.
Seriously, but
talk about great dudes, though. Yeah, I know.
Austin has gone. He went to Luthier School, and now he's building guitars for Gibson's. Been there for 4 years,
so
and
cool.
But when we were in Nashville, because Nick and I are working on some projects in Nashville right now, and we were down there, and the first trip with you down there, we didn't have time to spend, so we went back and stayed an extra day. My business partner came home, we stayed an extra day, and we went and spent the day with Austin at Gibson and went and did some fun stuff, and it was really cool listening to Austin talk about how much that songwriting is his gig.
Yeah.
I don't want to play, I don't want to sit on stage, I don't want to I just want to sit back and write.
Yeah.
And that is, do you feel like you have one or the other that you prefer
No,
over the two?
I enjoy it all. I don't know. I think to me it all goes kind of hand in hand. The reason.
See, that's what I find so interesting, because I would think that, is it hard for somebody that writes a song for you and says, Dallas, this is the song, I wrote this, I know all these musicians, I feel like you're the man. You're the guy for this song, and they hand you this song, and you go, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah, sure. I think probably people, try to show you stuff sometimes that maybe isn't quite what you would do on your own, or something. But in any case, as far as that goes, though, to me, I get a lot of enjoyment out of the act of writing a song. You know, like, so I do that purely for the pleasure of, you know, it's, you know, the song itself is reason enough to sit down and write. I mean, but then I also, personally, you know, really enjoy performing the song.
Right.
You know, whereas some people, like you're saying, you know, probably have, you know, prefer one over the other.
Right.
Or maybe have a stronger skill set for one or the other.
Right.
But, I mean, I think there's a lot of great examples, like, you know, I mean, you know, just off the top of my head, like Billy Joe Shaver,
Yeah.
Townes Van Zandt, Willie Nelson. Now, those guys all have, you know, totally different careers, but are also all people who are known for not only writing their own stuff, but also like having other people perform their songs. So I don't know. I think there's
that was a big point that Austin made.
Yeah, sure.
Was sitting back and going, man, look what I did.
Totally.
Like what? Yeah.
But also too, I you know, I try to remind folks of this a lot, is that you know, like having the songwriters not step at the Redbird. To me, it's not essential to even like pursue music as a career. Just, I mean, participating in the act of writing music and playing music, like just for the pure pleasure of doing it, is enough. Like, you know,
Right.
I think there's this kind of like natural pressure that people feel to like turn it into a job, but that's not necessarily like, you don't have to do that. And anyway, I mean, you know, I think, anyway, that's something that I always try to emphasize to folks, like, look, you don't have to.
I'm glad that you're
know?
mentioning that. I think that's really
Yeah.
important because that was a
Yeah.
big struggle with Tyler. So Tyler
Sure.
went from, came right out of the gate, and I mean, it was metal. They were just,
Sure, yeah.
wow, yeah.
Yeah, I was a rock and roll kid. I
Oh
get it.
yeah, and the hairband and all the things, and then
Yeah.
things started kicking off. The voice started, his balls dropped. The voice started doing all the things that it was supposed to do, and then he decided he was going to all of a sudden become, I don't know, Ozzy Osbourne meets George Strait, shit, you know, and then stops everything and was like, oh fuck, like, you don't, those $50 a night gigs are not going to do what they need to do, and so it was a real hard struggle for him, and so many more that I know that, like you're saying,
Sure.
it's if you can't just dive out and do this full time. You've got to figure out how to balance both, or to see what is going to take off. It's the luck of the draw sometimes.
It's, you know, right, yeah. And, I mean, it's not to say, I also believe that anybody who wants to have a career in music can if they want it bad enough and they work hard enough at it, because you know, there is a way. It's
such a hard industry.
Yeah, of course it is, but
a lot of industries are hard, but it's like music is so.
Yeah, but it's also like the most fun. You know?
Yes.
So it's like however much you have to work to get to the place where you're having fun doing it, you know, by all means, it's worth it. I think.
Right.
Right. You know. Right. But I don't know. It's also anyway. I just mean, music's for everybody. And I know so many great songwriters, and I can't expect every one of them to be, you know, on the cover of Rolling Stone.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just think it's a healthy place to come from to you know, just, you know, consider yourself lucky if you're getting to do it for a living.
How did you pick your balance?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm still always, you know, I'm still trying to create a healthy balance all the time, I think. But I mean, lately especially, I've been really trying to prioritize family even more so, just because you know, at the end of the day, man, it's like, you know, that's what's most important.
Yes.
You know, but I feel like I know people who get married to their career.
Yes.
And then, like, you know,
I'm right here.
And they're you know, and then they're, and then you're coming from a place of like, I'm trying to, you know, make time for my personal life.
Yes.
And nah, dude.
Right.
Like, if you have a choice about it, which you know.
You know who taught me in the last few years to finally. I'm going to be 52.
Wow.
Right around the corner.
Hard to believe.
And thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. It's the vodka. But yeah. I do like pickles, and that does help. A little pickle juice and a little vinegar, but yeah, with salt and lime, a little tequila, but whatever.
Sure.
Was Kel.
Oh,
you know, Kel's my sidekick. She's my girl, and
she's awesome.
She finally set me down a couple years ago, and because I just nonstop, and there's a pool in my backyard that they the kids have named the frog pond, which actually Shiloh is the one that named it the frog pond.
Because it wasn't getting used or what?
Exactly.
Right,
and so, and now
Totally,
the kids, she would force me to do it, you know, because she's in the medical hospital health world.
Kelly actually helped deliver our daughter.
I'm pretty sure, I was thinking about this earlier, and I'm pretty sure that I saw your daughter before you did.
Oh, yeah.
Because Kel, I get the pictures. And
I was there.
There's probably, well, yeah, I should have been too. I mean, I kind of was, you know. There's probably so many people in New Braunfels. Hell, she saw my granddaughter before I did.
How funny.
Yeah, but she did. She sent me a picture. I'll dig it up. We'll put it on when we air this podcast. And she was like, look who's I just delivered. It's Dallas.
Oh, she's an angel, man.
Oh my gosh, she is just God sent. But she was the one who taught me that to finally figure out that it is okay to maybe take my boat out for just a random spin and not feel guilty about it. To sit on the back patio and stick my toes in my frog pond.
Oh yeah, man.
With a laptop in our hand is how we kind of do it from time to time. But it's it has taken all these years for her to literally go, you know what?
Yeah.
Enough is enough. I mean, my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, well, you know, I don't know. It's I think it feels good to work hard.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
it
feels, you know, so it makes you feel accomplished, and it makes you feel like, you know, you're, I don't know, just earning your place, you know, in society or in the world, like, you know,
in the world.
Right? Just
that's huge for me. I have a gentleman, I don't know if you've seen the episode, his name is Jungle. Well, his name is George, but his nickname is Jungle, and he is a author, and one of the most interesting individuals I have met, and he throws things at me, which I love. It's one of my most probably favorite things is having you guys on the show, is how y'all actually turn around and challenge me. And it really makes me think. And it was one where he came right out. We were talking about how long do you think we should live? And he asked me, and I was like, well, okay, let me think about that. And I mean, one, we're just kind of the way of the world, or the way of the land is no one lives past 100. So in my mind, I'm thinking, why would I ever even possibly remotely think about living past the age of 100?
Sure.
And he said, mine's 500. I said, 500? What the fuck you gonna do around here for 500 years? That's a long time. And so you think about, my gosh, and it really, I mean, it hit me, and I still think about it on the daily, and my gosh, this was months and months and months ago that he threw this at me, and then we revisited it again. And I was like, I'll meet you at 3. But I don't know what the hell I'm going to do out here for 500 years. And it was just really...
That would be a long time to live.
Right. Well, then I had a phone call from a customer that stays at our resort, which anybody that comes and stays down there, they turn into family. And Chase happened to call, and we were talking about a benefit that we're going to do for him, and he said, yeah, well, I'm getting up there, you know, I'm turning 40 on Sunday. I hung up the phone and I looked at Nick and I was like, do you realize that I can only be on this earth for like another 20 years? She was like, what? And I just started bawling. I mean, just hysterically bawling. She's like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, I mean, think about that. It's the whole dash thing. It's the whole...
I've gone through periods of time, probably where I sort of like thought some about, you know, like eternal life.
Yes.
Right. Oh well, I mean, you know, and then as soon as I say that, of course, then like, you know, it depends on the context of how you what you consider to be eternal life, right? Which is, you know, what I think ultimately, you know, leads a lot of people to like a spiritual journey, but. Yeah, I mean, I think the you know, the finite nature of life itself is what makes it so precious. You know, if we did all, you know, live forever in this body, it would, you know, I don't know, you know,
that'd be exhausting.
You take it for granted eventually, and yeah, it would just, you know, I think there's a time for eternal rest. You know, at some point, it's like you know, you put in your time. You know, my grandmother lived to be 99, and
no doubt.
Yeah, my mom's mom. And she,
that's, you know, that German.
Yes, ma'am.
That is that
strong,
German,
clean living, man. But yeah, and you know, and she was a like a real old school lady of the world, like, you know, dressed herself and, you know, kept a very nice home up until her mid-90s, and, you know, until the end there.
Did she age?
Oh,
Let me tell you what, I'm the only one in my family that ages. My entire family, they don't have a wrinkle on their elbow. They don't have a wrinkle nowhere.
Oh, I mean,
You've seen Aunt Pearl.
I hear you.
You know my dad.
I hear you.
Not a one of them.
She stayed real sharp for a long time.
Yes.
That's for sure. But yeah, no, I think that's an interesting kind of thing to think about. But but knowing that our days are numbered certainly, I think is a motivating factor in trying to make the most of the days that we have, though.
Right.
So yeah.
Do you find yourself writing about those kind of things in music?
Oh sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. What I love about poetry in general, just writing in general is the opportunity to kind of explore different, concepts and yeah, I mean, I dabble in a bit of existential sort of kind of pondering in my writing, so probably, yeah.
When do things like that hit you?
Oh.
I mean, do you stop and go, okay, wait.
I mean.
Do you jot it down right then? Do you revisit it? Do you sit down? I am one that when things hit me, I have to sit and go, stop. Don't talk to me. Don't nothing. Let me do. I got to put my notes down and revisit it because I'll forget it.
I like to write for like really clear, kind of clean thinking.
Yes.
I like early morning, sitting down
Nice.
with clean piece of paper and just kind of with the early morning sun. I feel like that can be inspiring to kind of get some good thoughts together. But it just depends.
First of all, you just said you didn't say musician, but I'm going to go ahead and throw that in there for you. You just said musician and early morning.
Yeah.
Is that carrying over from playing a gig, or that's playing a gig, taking a wee nap, and then getting up with the chickens?
Well, I certainly used to pull a lot of all-nighters and certainly wrote a couple of songs that I really like.
During those all-nighters.
Yeah, for sure. So there's something to that. But that being said, nowadays, I found, speaking of longevity and just like general, physical health and mental health and all that stuff, I find it so important to try to keep, a pretty consistent schedule where, sleeping regular hours, getting up, early in the morning.
Right.
And having a whole work day.
Explain, a lot of people, I would think this is really important because the music industry is rough. It's rough on your body, it's rough on your soul, it's rough on your organs, it's rough on your liver.
Sure.
It's rough on everything.
Yeah.
And
can be.
You are sober.
Yeah.
And I think you should explain, let's go down that road a little bit if you don't mind. I think it's really important.
Sure,
I think there are
absolutely.
so many of you guys that I know that have done that.
I tell you what.
And I feel like we're seeing it more and more, which
all
is
the time.
So impressive.
Totally,
and
man.
So strong, and the willpower is off the charts.
I think that,
if there's a young musician
sure.
that comes up to you, and I'm talking young, 20s, whatever, and they're hitting it, and they're hitting it hard, and they look at you and say, Dallas, man, I just woke up in a ditch last night, or this has happened, or whatever.
Sure.
I woke up and there's 3 women on the side, or whatever. It's y'all have things dropped at your ankles at gigs all over tours and what have you.
Man. Yeah, and I think there's.
Where was your light? What could you tell them?
Sure.
Let's go down that little journey.
Well, just right off the bat, if I'm ever talking to anybody, or if somebody asks me about this stuff, I always am quick to encourage anybody to keep their nose clean.
Yes.
That's one way to say it, but yeah, man, if you can stay away from the party and are willing to work very hard, you give yourself the best chance of success in general, I think. But I having grown up around music and also to just the culture of small town Texas, we started drinking real young.
Oh, yeah.
And all that stuff. And
I was mixing the best bar drinks at the age of 9 off my grandmother's washer and dryer.
Sure, man. It's like my dad's mom used to give him a spoonful of whiskey, to sleep when they had a cold.
Or gums.
All
peppermint schnapps for that cough.
Sure. So, that's all old school stuff. And then, so anyway, just, long story short, over the years, I got, more and more into, drugs and harder and harder drugs, and just to try to kind of like keep up with the party. And eventually it got to where for me it was like, I was doing that and I wasn't doing any actual work.
What you were right. Right.
So I mean, for me, I had a real life coming to Jesus moment, and for me it was after my son was born, and when he was about a year old, I had to face the fact that the way I was living wasn't going to work anymore, and if I wanted to just forget being a musician or anything else, just to be a respectable father,
husband,
right, that I was going to have to just make a bunch of big changes. And so I around that time decided to join the gym again, start going back to church, and quit drinking. And it's been over 6 years since I had a drink or done any hard drugs or anything like that. And so it's and in that time I've been able to kind of really rebuild my life from a serious low point, and in that past 6 years of not partying, not drinking, I've been able to do all most of the good things that I've done in my career have been in that period of time.
Right.
So but I mean, just and listen, I can't tell you how often and how grateful I am. How often I hear people telling me, "Hey man, I haven't had a drink in 2 months."
Yes.
Just that is the biggest reward.
Yes.
I mean, just to see that people are figuring out for themselves in their own lives that just for their own well-being, for their own sense of happiness.
I think it's a challenge that if you don't think, and that was me, if you don't think that you can do it, I think it's one that you should just try. It's very hard in our music town, in our music community, and it's everywhere we go.
Yeah.
But I did a couple years ago.
Nice.
And it was just one of those one, I was going on a health kick. I needed to do something because I was blowing up like a fucking buffalo, and I was thinking, and what is going on here? And I just had my hysterectomy, hormones were doing whatever the hell they wanted to do. And so I was walking around like an Oompa Loompa. And I did, and it was, I carried my big water bottle around. If we were out and about, I would have a water with a piece of lime, with a slice of lime on there, and it wasn't, you kind of think that everybody's gonna give you the whole, what, you're not drinking, you're not wet ever, and it would come across from time to time.
Sure.
And then once you kind of get past that little hump, and you're like, golly.
Oh yeah, no.
It's refreshing.
It's very freeing, I think, and I think there's definitely there's probably the idea that there's the social pressures that come with being
everything in the world.
Yeah, but
not just drinking or the drugs or the whatever. It's with everything in the world.
But I have found that you just gotta just show up and be yourself, and people are just glad to see you regardless. And the drink is kind of neither here nor there.
Was there a struggle in your relationship? I mean, obviously there had to have been. I mean, your son was a year when you quit.
Yeah. Well, Stacy and I actually didn't get married until Tex was maybe like 2 or 3. So there was definitely, and she actually has been sober the same amount of time as I have. And so that was something
Y'all did it together.
Yeah, it was a journey for both of us, and I mean, we've had, I think all the normal kind of challenges that people have in relationships anyway, but right now we're doing as good as we've ever been,
wow.
and but so it was a mutual commitment for she and I both. I think it was just kind of a natural thing. Like it was just sobriety was just gonna have to be part of the equation for us to make it work.
For us, for us to grow.
Yeah, I mean, she was when she and I first met, she was living and working up in Dallas, and had been working as a cocktail waitress, and I made her quit all her jobs and come move in with me and stuff.
You're that guy. Well, if I met a couple of those, married one as a matter of fact.
I was
sure
like,
do.
I was like, no, you're not. You're not gonna be pouring sweet tea anymore.
Right, darling. Yeah.
I mean?
Ooh, I feel a song coming on. Yeah. Let's talk about, I just think that's really important, and I think it's epic and
Absolutely.
impressive.
I just think that it's like the magic bullet for anybody. If anybody is looking for like, you know, what can I do to improve my life, or my chances, or my odds, or, you know, my success rate, that's like the number one obvious one to me.
Right.
I mean, you know, getting healthy, getting sober, finding God, I think they all go hand in hand to me.
Huge.
So yeah.
I believe so. I agree
Mm-hmm.
wholeheartedly. Let's tell everybody about the Redbird Listening Room.
Yeah, the Redbird.
Let's talk about the inspiration behind that.
Sure. Well, I mean, you know, so the inspiration for, like, you know, the style of the venue, really, a lot of it comes from, like, you know, Kent Finley, you know, growing up at going to the Shooting Street Warehouse and the songwriter circle there, and, you know, just experiencing that kind of like the sacred approach to songs that, like, you know, like, and Kent was always so, you know, good about that, about just, you know, it didn't matter who you were, if you showed up over there and you had your own song, then you were gonna, you know, have a platform to be heard.
Right.
And so that just made a big impression on me early on, and so yeah, and then, you know, of course, my mom is an incredible entrepreneur and business person, and so she, you know, really, it was, you know, to her credit, she saw the potential in the place, and then, you know, just, you know, and then, you know, I was able to kind of just go in and with my, you know, my passion and just, you know, kind of having made a life out of, you know, music, and paid attention over the years to all the artists that I liked.
Yes.
Been able to, you know, bring in some really incredible songwriters to come play there. So it's been a really incredible thing, man.
It's so fun. If you guys are out and about in New Braunfels, it is the Redbird Listening Room, and we will also share a link. And it is, it's very cool. It's very eclectic. It's it's exactly what it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's up close and personal. You get there, and I remember before Cody Jinks was the big Cody Jinks.
Sure.
And one of my things, and being and I'm assuming I get that from being born and raised in New Braunfels. I don't know, or just appreciating George being around when Crystal Chandelier was here. Know, I mean, totally. He was teaching at Canyon High School, and
how funny.
Yeah, so
he's back an ag teacher, right?
Yeah, back in the good old days. Yeah, and so you know, the Pat Green telling everybody in Hastings when, you know, man, I've never been up at 12 o'clock before, but I'm here right now. And I mean, back in those days.
That's funny, and
man. So I appreciate the listening room. And one of the first deals I'd seen, we were in the Keys, and then we were in this backyard area, and Cody was playing board, and I was standing on a pike. It was a skate turnpike, half pike. There it is. Yeah, that guy. Mm-hmm. And they had like little logs were for people to sit, and it was like a pray. I mean, they were like kind of handing out tickets. I mean, nobody heard who Jinx was, and so
sure.
So we were sitting back there, and I lost my mind because these people were just yapping and bumping their gums, and and to this day, I will lose my fucking mind. I'm like, you disrespectful shits.
Yeah.
Shut the hell. I will do it at my resort at the bottom of the quad.
Sure.
In open air when I've got musicians sitting down there playing. I'm like, hey.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely not. I will go unplug. I will cut the wires on their radios. I will do some no, absolutely. Just do not do that. And we were laughing about it because he, you know, there's a lot of bigger people that will come down and come and hang, and we allow them to do that, write songs. We shut the gate, and we don't tell them, and let them be humans, and let you guys, you know, to where people just don't bug y'all.
That's cool.
And we were all laughing about it, and I said, do you remember that one time when I was standing on that deal and I started, he was like, oh my gosh, and I was like, yep, that was me. I was like, and that's just funny. One thing, and that is very impressive about your place, is that it's very small, it's very intimate, it is very up close and personal, and it's where you get to kind of in a setting like this where you guys get to talk to your up and close and your people and your fans and the ones that they really want to get to know who Dallas really is and who
or whoever and not everybody
talk about the guy that's drawing the pictures.
Oh yeah.
He used to be at Green forever,
and he still does hang out at Green. Mark Nelson, he's been an old family friend forever, and
so he drew pictures. I have Scotty and Manzi. I mean Scotty, who Manzi's here.
Michael.
Caleb and Scotty played. We were there.
Oh, yeah, of course, sure, yeah.
Me
I got you.
Kale, Shiloh, and
so man. Mark he's a treasure, and he's you'll still see him at Green sometimes, but
I haven't seen him at Green in years.
Oh yeah,
and he was sitting right next to me, and I said, okay, I'm gonna want this one. He said, no, I'm about to fuck this one up. And I said, that's definitely gonna be the one that I'm gonna want. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
it was good.
No, it's cool, man. He definitely adds a lot to the whole atmosphere of the place, but
he's so fun.
Yeah, it's nice for people to have the chance to tell their stories, and I've heard from a few people that maybe don't usually play those style shows, just that it was kind of a unique experience from the artist standpoint to be able to sit and tell stories that they hadn't told before and things like that. So yeah.
So let's tell everybody before we wrap it up, let's find your tour schedule.
Sure. Yeah. All things just as far as the schedule and information and where to find my music and stuff, just dallasburrow.com.
We'll share that to you guys, and then also Redbird Listening Room.
Of course.
It is when this hits the air, it's going to be right before summer season hits, and so we will let's do a summer tour schedule. We'll list everybody on there. You guys are going to want to get your tickets and whatnots in advance. It is small, it's very exclusive, it's very up close and personal, and it is definitely an experience that you guys will absolutely enjoy.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you shining a light on it. So just to tell a quick story, so I just want to thank you for everybody to hear for hooking me up the other day.
Anytime.
Because we had an artist come through, and it's one of those things where, I understand this from both sides, being on the road, and so I know the deal.
Shit happens.
But I mean, anyway, so we had somebody come through who was like, I remember I reached out to their tour manager the day before to ask, what they needed backstage and stuff, and one of those things was a bottle of tequila, and I just kind of, it slipped my mind to go by the liquor store, let's say. And so then it was Sunday, and then it was the day of the gig, and artist arrives, and, I'm thinking no big deal, but it was like, apparently, sometimes those things are important.
They are very important. Those green rooms, let me tell you. Yeah. Speaking of an important green room, real quick.
Yeah.
I was down at Loretta Lynn's ranch.
Wow.
Thought I was going down there, was invited to go down there.
Cool.
To help and what have you.
No,
I was in there to organize all the musicians, all the stage things, in the green room.
Wow.
The green room was a fucking nightmare. And so when I go in there doing what I'm doing, so you want to talk about, yes, I know how important green rooms can be to some gigs. Some guys are like, yeah.
Oh,
you
sure.
got some in that walk in that go, the red carpet is not quite straight enough for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it happens. You never know.
No, and people are always usually pretty cool, but it's just one of those things like, anyways.
Hospitality goes a long way.
Somebody expected some tequila. I didn't have any, and you were kind enough to say, hey, it's a Sunday, just come on by. I'll give you a bottle for my private stash, and it made the whole day that much cooler. So for the artist, and so thank you for that.
I got a private stash.
I hear you.
Most of them are dust collectors. It's fine,
Anyway, it made everything better that day
I'm
for us.
I'm so glad. So that makes my heart happy. Yeah. See, when we're talking about living on Earth and doing things, when you think those are the things that when I know that I was able to help and do, and
man,
just a bottle of tequila or whatever.
And back to what you were saying at the beginning about how this this one big family around here with musicians and business owners and all that stuff.
Yep.
Well, you're a great example of that. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Likewise. You guys like, share, follow Dallas Burrow, the Redbird Listening Room. We'll share all the things. Have a good summer. Have a good tour. Have all the good.
Thanks for having me.
I can't wait to hear about the next song release.
There's good stuff coming. So.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a good time.
Yeah, thanks
Appreciate
for having me. Yep.
Boop. And cut.
I put a blessing on it, see me dripping in it 24/7 on it. I'm just being honest, holy water dripping from my neck to my crep, so I'm two-stepping on it like